Hey guys, so I've got a little something different coming at you this week. So I'm sure that everybody has certain thing they're into, whether it's archery or motorcycles, fishing, mountain biking. Well, my first sport love was mountain biking. And the very first mountain bike that I bought with my own money was a Barracuda A2B. And it wasn't my first choice. The A2Z was actually my first choice, but I couldn't afford it. So I bought the A2B and sacrificed a few things, like a better crank, whatnot. There wasn't a whole lot of difference between the A2B and the A2Z, but I really liked the A2Z. Well, the other day when I was playing around on Marketplace, looking around, a Barracuda A2Z showed up on Marketplace. This thing, of course, I jumped all over it. It was only 50 bucks. 50 bucks for an A2Z to most people would be like, why would I pay 50 bucks for that piece of crap? Well, 50 bucks for this piece of crap is a steal to me, because it's one of those, I don't really know how to say it. It's more of a keepsake type bike than it is, hey, I want that bike to be able to go out and ride the trails and to go out and hammer on this thing. No, it's more, I just want to get the thing rideable and have it just for fun, just to say that I've got that first bike that I really wanted. There is one other one that I really want, but the closest I found is there's one in Pennsylvania, and it's way too big for me, and that is a Giant ATX 990 John Tomac Signature Series full suspension Giant. Super awesome bike at the time. I loved it, always wanted one, probably never will. But this is a Barracuda A2Z. It's got a rigid front fork, no suspension, grip shift, old style cantilever brakes, real cheap Shimano low end drivetrain. Nothing special about this bike. So my plan is to take this bike for 50 bucks. I'm going to use my basic tools and my just some of my special bike tools. I'm going to try to get this thing rideable. That's what I'm going to do right now. Now keep an eye out, because in the future, I'm sure you see that red bike sitting up there on the ceiling. When I used to race, I had a James Dakar team full suspension that I had decked out with all the best equipment that you could get at the time. Well, that frame has bit the dust, and I don't even think I still have it. I'm not sure that I still have it. If I do, it's somewhere else. But that bike has all of the components off of that James bike. Real high-end stuff. Well, I say high-end stuff. High-end for when it came out. Probably the best you could get at that time, being 99, 2000, 2001. So I am going to get this bike rideable. Then after I get it rideable, then I'm going to upgrade it with the parts from that bike. So eventually I'll have a really sweet bike. But for now, let's get this one rideable. Alright, first things first is, will the back wheel turn? No. So let's take the back wheel off and see what we got going on. Alright, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this wheel off. And I'm going to take it over here to my truing stand. And see how bad this thing really is. Woo! Yeah, buddy. That's pretty bad. Let's get a close up here. I don't know if you can see that, but she's pretty banged up. So, let's see if I can find a place to seat you guys while I'm working on it. So, something that I know from when I used to work on bikes, sometimes you can just take and tighten a few spokes and you're good to go. Sometimes, make sure there's air in the tire, sometimes what it takes is knowing where it's loose, where it's way out of whack, taking it and giving it a good whack on the ground. So I know right there is where it's loose. So I'm just going to take it and give it a good whack. So, yeah, that's not good. We're missing gears. I'm not even going to fool with this. So I guess I'll be taking the rear wheel off of that one now. That way I can at least get this thing rideable. Unless I have another wheel. Let me look and see what I've got. Alright guys, so I dug through my wheels. Obviously this one right here is dead. I can't do anything with it. I don't have a cassette for, or the gears, this is called a cassette. I don't have that for a 7-speed. And that's what the gear shifter is. He only goes up to 7, so I think that's probably, let's see here, 6, 7, yeah, that's the problem, is they have an 8-speed cassette, or a 7-speed cassette on an 8-speed wheel. So that's one of the problems. Other problem is the rim on this thing's toast. So I found this wheel, but this wheel is a 8-speed cassette as well, so I can't use it. But I did find, and I don't know what the condition of this thing is, it's heavy as all get out, this one, which is a 7-speed with a Mega Drive. I've never seen Mega Drive before, so we'll see if this one, I'll try to stick it on the truing stand here and we'll see what it looks like. It looks like it's a single wall rim though. It's not a real good one, but to get the thing rideable like it is, we'll go with it and see what happens. Oh Lord. Yeah, this one's in pretty bad shape too. And let's see what we can do with it. Maybe we can get it different size there. Well, I guess we can't use that wheel because it's wrong. I guess I'll just have to use this one, and we'll just have to pretend we didn't see that it's crooked as can be, just to put it on there and see what happens. See if we can get it rideable. We'll just have to adjust the brakes accordingly, because eventually all the brakes, everything's going to be changed out. Shifters, everything, it'll be changed out to 8-speed, because that's what the other stuff is. Unless believe, honestly, that an 8-speed cassette will work with a 7-speed shifter. You just have to eliminate one of the gears, I think. I honestly can't remember. Awesome rim tape. Just take it off now and put it on back on in a little bit. Let's see if this is straight. I'm pretty sure this one's straight. This is a good rim here. This is a LX Shimano hub with a double wall, I believe it's sun rims. This is a pretty decent wheel, and that's what we're looking for. I can see without even really doing anything that it's straight, so we bring this in. And that's it's hard to really see, but you can't even see it. Well, there it is. There's a little bit of a gap there, but for the most part, it's straight. I think what I'll do is just go ahead and put this wheel on there temporarily and see if it'll ride. If it doesn't shift right, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get the thing rideable. I'll get it stuck in one gear if I have to. But let's get it put together. Let's get a tire off of one of these. I'll take the tire off of the one here that was on it. You guys a little trick here. When you go to take a wheel off, make sure you got all the air out of it. Go around and just twist the tire to break the bead all the way around. Once you get to where you started, take your thumb, put it on top, bend the tire back towards you, and just twist it right over the edge. It'll come right off without having to use any of those rim strip things or whatever. And just like that, the tire comes off. So rim tape already has a hole in it here where it was already used for the stem, the valve stem. So I'm just going to use some electrical tape here. Find my valve stem hole. There it is. Line those up. I'm like to poke a new hole anyway. It looks like it's not wanting to line up. Looks like my rim tape shrunk over the years. Okay, rim tape is on, and if you're using new rim tape, you can either take a screwdriver or a small file, but screwdriver is probably just as easy. Find your hole and just kind of do that. Wall it around. Take your tube out of your tire, makes it easier. I don't think these are directional. Don't know that it really matters because I'm not going to be riding it forever. Get one side started. Find your hole. Take your valve stem. Stick it down through the hole. Then, if you have a brand new tube, you want to put just a little bit of air in it. If not, if it's already got a little bit of air in it, you're good to go. Stick it back in here. Make sure it's not all twisted up. Go to the far side, get it started. Make sure your tube's getting in there so you're not pinching it. Work your way around. You get back up here to where the valve stem is. Just do the same thing you did to get it off. Make sure it's loose everywhere. You want to rock it back to you, and you can just pop it right over the edge of the rim without using any special tools. And without using tools. You don't have to worry about getting a little pinch in your tube. I'm just, for now, just going to put a little bit of air in this thing. Oh, wrong pump. I'm not even going to really put a whole lot in it, just enough to make it hold form. That'll work for now. Right there. Now, let's put the wheel on here and see what we got. Now the back wheel turns. But okay, so this thing is pretty gummed up. Let's see if the brakes, how the brakes look first here. Okay, yeah, they're way out. So this side doesn't look too bad. It's actually hitting the rim. This side, not so much. It's wanting to go under the rim. And I think they probably did that because it was touching the other rim and they wanted to try to ride it. So I'm going to have to adjust these brakes before I do anything else. Alright. You guys get to be on my head for a change. So 10 millimeter, 5 millimeter on this one. For 10 millimeter wrench goes on the bottom down here. 5 millimeter goes there. This thing's loose. So first thing you want to do is pull the brake and let it relax back to its normal position. You want to push the brake up to where it's hitting the rim flush. Hold this in place while you tighten this one. That one I'm not going to mess with because it looks good. I'm just going to check and make sure it's tight. Yep, it's good and tight. Check that, it's good and tight. Okay, now the back brakes are working, but there's not enough pull on them to return them back. So what I'm going to have to do is, that's probably not on the right spring setting. There are 3 holes on each one of these little old mounts. And a lot of times they get stuck on the lightest one, which is not going to give you much spring back. So right now it's on the middle one. If you look right here, you can see it's on the middle one. I'm just going to lift it up, move it to the top one, push it all back down on there. I guess I really didn't need to take it all the way out. I don't know what I was thinking. This will help some, but it won't help everything. It still needs, cables probably all need to be lubed up. Tighten this back down. Let's see what it feels like. A lot better. This one's just, there's nothing there. So let's loosen it. Won't go all the way, just a little bit. Turn it, lift it, flip it up into the, now I'm going to have to loosen this one a little more. So what I'm going to do is take this cable up here. I'm going to take it loose from the holder. Give myself some slack so I can adjust this thing. Let it fall in on top. Oh wow, this thing is stiff. Alright, now we got some spring back. Alright, now it's actually going to want to try to return. So this part of the cable feels fine. Yeah, about that. This was a design flaw in my opinion, but alright, got her hooked up, so we're still not returning on this one very well, but as you can see, the wheel turns. We'll get some lube on that cable eventually here. So with that being done, what we'll do is We'll run this all the way down to the bottom gear. We'll run this up to 6. No change yet. So we'll tighten this barrel. We'll back this barrel out until it jumps up onto the 6, or the bottom, next to bottom gear. Next one, next one, next one, next one, and the next one. That's as far as it goes. So I can live with that. The cable was pretty gummed up. It's not wanting to shift. So what you can do is run it all the way up to the highest gear, stop your wheel, and run that shifter. It was all the way up there. Run it all the way back down to 7, and that will get you all this slack. I don't like the way that was done. And I don't like the, honestly, I don't like that sleeve over the cable either. That tight turn coming around that is going to do nothing but cause problems. I would rather, honestly, I'd rather crisscross the cable underneath it rather than do that. I don't like that, but let's get rid of this sleeve. So I'm just going to get rid of this. Because that's not going to do nothing but cause problems. We'll get rid of this one too. Okay. Oh wow, yeah, that's crusty. So I want to get some lube. Not 100% sure where I've got my lube. It doesn't have to be anything special. Right there's the bike lube. There we go. So what I like to do is run it all the way back, and as you're sliding this, just take the little drop of oil and stick on there, and it'll suck that oil right down inside the housing, and just run it back and forth. Same thing on this one. It's really gummy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything with this cable or not. It really needs to be replaced, but we'll at least try to get it riding. So it feels a little better than it did. Push that. Put it on this side first. I really don't like how they ran this cable. Now, we may have issues because this is a 7-speed shifter as far as the spacing goes. So I'm gonna run this down about halfway now, because when you're working on the front one, you don't want to have it all the way in the top when you go to the top gear. You don't want to be all the way down in the bottom when you go to the bottom gear. So I'm going to put it about halfway down in the back. We're in the small gear right now. This one should be okay. There's the middle. There's the big. So we'll leave it in the middle for now. I can live with that. Brakes work. We're good there. Now let's look at the front here and see what we got going on. Right now I know at least I've got a flat tire. But the front wheel is straight. So we'll just go with it. It looks like it had a mount on here for a computer. I'm not real concerned with that. I'll just leave it on there. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll take it off eventually. Let's make sure the front brakes work. I think you're dealing with the same thing. Let's put them on the stronger spring just to give us a little bit more pull back, because everything's a little bit tight. Let's go ahead and take his front wheel off. Oop. Sorry about that, guys. Got smacked in the forehead. Oh, these are rough. They'll work for now though. Back this off just enough. Take it, turn it, put it in that hole. You can see it's busted here. There's a little catch on the actual brake itself that keeps it from going, keeps the spring from moving too far. But let's see what it feels like. That thing's all gummed up. Let's put a little bit of oil on this thing. That little piece of plastic just busted off completely. Well, that ain't gonna work, because that keeps that spring from twisting out of its hole. And as you can see now, that's not gonna do anything at all, because it can't grab. So I will be riding with no front brakes, just to get it rideable, and then we'll tear into tearing it down and putting the other one on. So I guess let's put some air in this tire. I don't have any more of these brakes this style, or I would just go ahead and to replace the front brakes, but I don't. And the bad part is the other side is busted too. Which means as soon as I hit the brakes, it's going to break as well. So let's just take them off completely. Just stick the screw back in there so we don't lose it. Close enough. Let's check it. And she's pretty straight. A little crusty, but straight. And go ahead and, while I've got her here on the stand, I'll go ahead and run the back tire up. Okay, back tire's aired. Front tire is aired. Let's put the wheel on the front. I guess that helps, doesn't it? Front wheels on. Chain looks pretty lubed. I think we're already there. Pedals look okay. Bottom bracket's not loose. Front end feels okay. It's not loose or anything. It's not the ideal seat for me, but all right. Let's see what happens. Well, it's a bike. It rides. It shifts gears. A little bit of a small frame for me. but I can live with it. Put a suspension fork on it. It'll raise the front end a little bit. All right, I would call that a success. Even though I only have front brakes or rear brakes. So there you go, guys. The Barracuda A2Z rides again. So keep an eye on Marketplace. You never know when you're going to run across your dream whatever. Like I said, this was one of my first bikes, and you just, you never know. Keep an eye on Marketplace. You might find something that you really like or something you used to have, and it's more than having something to ride. It's you've got that memory, you've got that keepsake, and then you can pass it down or do whatever. This frame's a little bit small for me right now, so once I take the components off of that one and put on this one, this is going to be a sweet bike. And I could easily see my youngest son riding this bike, or my daughter. This is a perfect size for either one of them. Of course, it won't be long before my youngest son's bigger than I am. He's already about 3 inches shorter and catching up quick. So it's not perfect. I don't expect it to be. Give you an idea of how old this bike is. I bought my Barracuda A2B in 1994. So it's a 30-year-old bike. It's got some scratches. Overall, it's not bad. One of the things I really liked about this bike is this teardrop shaped bottom tube. That fork weighs a ton. I can tell you now that the fork on that bike probably weighs about the same as this hard rigid fork. So we're not going to be losing or adding a lot of weight putting the suspension on here. The wheels, the front wheel on this bike here weighs as much as both the wheels on that bike up there combined. The crank up there weighs about what these pedals do. This bike is probably right now, I'd like to weigh it. Maybe I'll break the scales out and weigh them just to compare before and after. I'd say this bike probably weighs in the ballpark of 28 pounds, 29 pounds. Once I get the components off of that bike onto this one, we'll probably be looking at 21, maybe under 21 pounds. It's just everything on that bike up there is just so much lighter, so much better. So stick around for that video, and we'll try to get this thing in race condition. Maybe, who knows, maybe one of my kids will take up mountain bike racing like I did and enjoy it, and this will be their first race bike. You just never know. So keep an eye on Marketplace. You never know what you're going to find. Enjoy the outdoors, get out there and have fun with your family, and I will see you guys on the next go around. If you haven't already done so, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys.